to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Go right to the approval of the agenda. Any revisions? No? Good? Okay. Can I get a motion? Rob, second Henry. Any discussion or questions? Okay to vote? All in favor? 7-0. Approved. Mr. Poole, Superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening. I want to start off with a big recognition and congratulations to the Shoreham-Wading River High School football team. They had a spectacular playoff run. They played through torrential rain. They played in 20-degree weather, and they secured the Suffolk County Championship for, I think, 4 out of the last 5 years, if I'm correct in that, and they advanced to the Long Island Championship last Friday, where they played a really tough game. And but they should be holding their heads up high. Really, very proud of that of the football team, and congratulations to them and to Coach Smith for their success this year. Also, like to share that just today we got an email from the New York State Education Department nominating the Shoreham-Wading River High School for another Blue Ribbon Award. Only 19 schools in New York State have received that nomination. There is a lengthy application process that's submitted to the federal government, but it's an honor just to be recognized from the state. It's not something you can apply for on your own. You have to get tapped on the shoulder from state ed, and we look forward to with Mr. Piazzi and the team at the high school to complete an application. So congratulations to the high school, to Mr. Piazzi and the staff. The recognition is for an exemplary high school, meaning that the graduation rate was at the very top of the state, and student performance in ELA and math was at the very top of the state in the high school. So that is the criteria for that nomination. So, I'd like to welcome Ken Schupner and Derek Natz. We have a presentation this evening, an update on the bond project, and I also like to welcome Mr. Piazzi, Ms. Mitchell, all of the students here tonight who are part of the Natural Helpers Program, which is one of the many programs that we have in the school district to address social emotional learning, character traits, and things like that. So, and that concludes my report.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Opportunity for board members. Katie?
The past couple of weeks, we've had a legislative committee meeting and a curriculum committee meeting. I was asked to just give a brief summary of the legislative committee meeting. We had our goals established. The priority number 1 is to protect New York State school aid allocations from any reductions and advocate for appropriate and fair annual increases. These were priorities that were reinstated from last year. There's one additional priority that we added for this year. Priority number 2 is establish a teacher's retirement system reserve fund. 3, no more unfunded mandates. 4, return the control of the teacher and principal evaluation systems to local school boards. And the 5th priority that we decided that we would be looking to include is to provide uncommon opportunities and unique courses that would further assist the life skills class, the students who might be interested in participating in other courses like SHOP that had been taken from the curriculum. Not to say that we're going to definitely add those, but we're going to take a closer look after the survey is completed for our district at those courses that are not currently included and uncommon opportunities. The curriculum update, we had a discussion about the professional development that was conducted at Superintendent's Day. There was a mental health update provided, and during that discussion we talked about the possibility of including additional leadership opportunities and perhaps a course. That was a very wonderful discussion that was had by the whole committee. really supporting that thought with a curriculum, including in the curriculum a credit-bearing course, perhaps, that would provide a leadership instruction and opportunities for our students. The iReady and Alex instructional diagnostic updates were provided, as well as Eureka Math. Updates on safety, security, ESSA, and the humanities were postponed to the next meeting. That's it.
Great. Thank you. Statements from residents? Any?
Lisa McMorris.
Hi, I got to the walkthrough a little late, so this is about the walkthrough. I'm not sure if anybody got to the back of the auditorium, so if you haven't gotten back there, we're able to makeshift a little bit of a dressing room, but for next year, we're going to have to definitely come up with a different option, and I just hope that that's on your mind as we move forward into the planning of the following year, and that it comes up on a space and facilities of what some of the choices and outcomes we have for the back of the stage. The front of the stage, the auditorium looks fantastic. Lighting, sound, everything on the back, kind of problematic. So, thank you.
Good, thank you. All right, we'll go right down to reports and reviews. Natural Helper Retreat presentation.
Mr. Pugliese?
Thank you. It is my distinct pleasure to introduce one of our distinguished faculty members tonight, Mrs. Mary Mitchell, and members of the Natural Helpers organization. These students work in the shadows, and I know that's kind of dramatic, but it truly captures what they do each and every day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. These young men and women are extensively trained. They are vetted for their capabilities, for their maturity, for their ability to give guidance and to seek assistance when necessary, to really help protect one another, to have each other's backs, to know when to reach out and to know when they can handle certain items. I cannot even begin to do the program the kind of justice that they can. So without further ado, Ms. Mitchell, you want to come on up?
So I'm very nervous, but this program, like I said to all the parents this year, this program is like my baby. It's been around in the school for 16 years, and this is my 16th year teaching. So my first year, I went as just a chaperone. Then I realized, like, okay, this is my thing. Like, I have to get involved. So I helped out with it the next couple of years. And then when the person who was running the program was ready to turn it over, he kindly turned it over to me, and I have just kind of run with it. So the idea behind Natural Helpers is that we all know that when kids are in crisis, when teenagers are in crisis, they go to each other first before they go to adults. Now, that's not a knock on parents, that's not a knock on anybody, but that just seems to be what happens. So the program was created basically to give those teenagers better skills at helping their friends. So we know that this helping network already exists. When kids are in crisis, they go to their friends. So what I try to do is find out who are those friends, the go-to people, and can I educate them more and give them better skills? And some of the skills are simple things like active listening, attending responses. Where do I go? Who do I go to? 2 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the afternoon, during the school day. We try to go through every possible scenario so that the kids have an outlet. So we do take the kids out of their comfort zone. We go on a 3-day or probably like a 2.5-day overnight retreat. We do a lot of team building, bonding. I talk about suicide prevention. I talk about problems to handle, problems not to handle. We talk about limits, like sometimes when we're not in a good state ourselves, it's a limit. We can't really help other people effectively. So if my friend is in crisis, what direction can I point them in? I can't even do the retreat justice either. There's just so much that we do from the minute they wake up to the minute they go to bed. It's a plugged out retreat, so they're not allowed to have their phones, no iPods. Every parent is given my cell phone number, so if they have to contact their kid, they can contact me. Some parents, text, or they want to just have an update, and I'm all good with that. Some kids get very nervous about that, and some of them say it winds up to be the best part about the weekend. Not having to worry about anything, being on social media, worry about someone taking a picture of them, it's just worry-free. So it's really cool. It's plugged out. They're there. They're present. They play card games. They interact with human beings. The one thing I always notice about teenagers is they never know what time it is because nobody wears a watch. So the whole weekend, everybody's like, I don't know what time it is. So it really is a really good learning experience. They come back. They're bonded. They feel comfortable. They feel confident. I run meetings, educational meetings. We talk about depression and suicide prevention again, talk about toxic friendships, body image, help me out here. What else am I meeting? Oh, social media, toxic friendships, forgiveness and compassion, positive psychology and happiness, what it means to be a helper post-high school. So I get a lot of feedback from graduates talking about how they've used their skills above and beyond just being in high school. I have kids who are 29 and 30 years old telling me I still use my natural helper skills. So that's a real testament, I think, to the program. Also, my students have started these random acts of kindness where they just, I'm not going to give them all away, but they do things in the building for other people. And it's kind of been very catchy. I have some students who won't leave me alone about doing them. They want to keep doing them. So that's phenomenal. We do the 9th grade Act Now suicide prevention program where the theater kids perform skits written by students. And the natural helpers kids do the breakout sessions where they talk to kids about what was the warning sign, what should you do, where should you go. So they do that as well. But like Mr. Pugliese said, the majority of the things they do are not talked about. So, they come to me multiple times a day. They go to each other. They go to other adults. It's just kind of a natural thing that happens. You become comfortable. You become confident. You see something. You say something. I'd rather have a mad friend than a dead friend. These kids can teach my lesson in my health class in 10th grade. They know it it's like the back of their hand. By the time they go away to college, they're super comfortable talking about suicide prevention and what do I do if my friend says something, where do I go? So it just becomes a comfortability, confidence, and they just really, they do the program justice for real. And I do appreciate all of the kids who are involved. So with that said, some of them are going to talk and tell you how much they love the program. So Ethan, you're going to go first.
All right.
You have to come over here.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Hi, my name is Ethan, and let me pull short. I was voted into Natural Helpers when I was in 10th grade. And for myself, it's always been so important for me as a student to make myself available for my friends to come with me, to come to me when they have some kind of issue. But before Natural Helpers, I didn't really have the tools to do that, and I didn't have the support for myself to really make myself that kind of an available person. So what I mean by that is that when friends come to you with any kind of crisis situation, that can be a huge burden, and it was a huge burden for myself. And so then after Natural Helpers, though, there was this huge network of teachers that I could go to talk to about these problems that I heard about. So in any kind of uncomfortable situation that I felt that I couldn't handle myself, I could go to a huge pool of teachers that had the same training that I did from the Natural Helpers retreat and that I felt comfortable with. So it kind of took the burden off of me and kind of helped me feel more comfortable in helping my peers. Thank you.
Hello, my name is William Cutnella. I was elected into Natural Helpers in 10th grade, and perhaps my favorite part of the trip was the buildup of excitement right before we left. Gonna get to try new things, gonna get to open up, and it was a fantastic learning experience in terms of social and mental health skills, helping my friends if they need later on in life. It would be definitely beneficial. And another great part was the bond formed between me and my fellow members who went. It's also very good. On a more personal note, this was without a doubt one of the greatest things I think I've done. Kids each and every day hide their pain deep down inside, and it takes a lot for them to open up, but this trip definitely helps them open up, and it has helped me to open up too. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name's Alexandra. I went last year as a junior, and I get to go again this weekend as a senior trainer. My favorite part about this trip is just really being able to refresh my mind and leave everything else at home. Not having your phone with you is like one of the best things that's like ever happened to me. You really feel disconnected with the outside world, but so engaged with what's going on during this weekend. You get to meet some of the most amazing people that you wouldn't even notice if you hadn't seen before you were elected in. So this trip does really change your outlook on life and how you see people, how you respect them, and you really just keep an open mind every time you see somebody. If you see them struggling, you just know that you can help them because you gain those skills within this weekend. So, thank you.
My name's Rosie, and I participated in Natural Helpers in 9th grade. And what I learned was that you need to, sorry, I'm nervous. You need to be able to, express your feelings to others. And it was, a great feeling having, the senior trainers and all that in 9th grade. So it just, made me less nervous to be in the high school and to have, all those people and the bond you form with them to just, have them as you go through high school and you remember all your natural helper friends, and it's just something that you take with you through your whole life. So,
Thank you.
I think it's great.
Hi, I'm Eric Delicio, and I went on the retreat as a 10th grader. For me, the best part of the retreat is really the skills you learn to be able to help your peers. I mean, we're all elected into the program because we have people vote us in based on we're one of the people they go to when they're in times of need. But the retreat kind of helps us get the skills so that we can properly help them or get them the help they need from another person when they need that help, whether they're in an active suicidal state or something, or even less severe, if they're just upset, stressed over a test, something like that. So we really were able to help them more effectively. And I think also the skills that we use rub off on other people. Other people see how you're helping other people. They can pick up on the skills themselves. So it's really a great network we form in the school through this program.
Hello, everyone. My name is Brennan Gorman. I became a natural helper my freshman year. And my favorite part about being a natural helper was not only on the retreat, but when we got back. My favorite thing is the different projects that we're doing. So Ms. Mitchell mentioned the random acts of kindness, but we also do other projects, some secret that go behind the scenes and some that we're sharing. One of them that we're doing now is called the Happiness Bags Project, where we are collecting new hats, new gloves, and Dunkin' Donuts gift cards. And we are collecting them, putting them in bags. We're calling them happiness bags, and we're giving them to the Riverhead homeless shelter to be given out during the holiday season. So that has been one of my most favorite parts about being a natural helper, taking part in all these great projects. And lastly, I believe that Natural Helpers has given me the confidence to become the leader I am today. One of the reasons why I am president of Best Buddies and even sitting here today on the Board of Education. So I would like to thank you all for supporting Natural Helpers, and thank you for having me speak today. Thank you.
So one last thing. After this weekend, I will have 94 current natural helpers in the building. So I love to always say, if every one of them helps one person, that's a lot of people who are affected by the Natural Helpers Program. And I'm sure they help more than one person, so we could just keep adding up the numbers. I have on my little presentation sheet here that over the 16 years, we've trained over 720 students. And I know that it's going beyond. I did give copies. I think you guys got copies of the quotes that I got from graduates. So I just sent out like an email, hey, if anybody wants to give me a quote. I asked for a quote. I was getting testimonials. So I think that is another testament to the program. So I know not everybody has a copy of it, but I just want to read one from Tom Verback, class of 2007. Natural helpers allowed me to understand that everyone is fighting a battle behind the face they put out in public. It taught me to look past the smile and recognize when a person is truly struggling. I've been in active duty for close to 8 years now. I attended Natural Helpers 13 years ago, yet I can't count the number of times I've used the skills I learned on that retreat when speaking with one of my sailors and Marines who were labeled as weak or not motivated, only to discover they were fighting a deeply personal battle with loss, grief, sexuality, or depression. In a country growing more divided each day, where being right is more important than doing the right thing, Natural Helpers is a beacon of hope for the lonely, the bullied, the rejected, and most importantly, the kid who doesn't see his own worth in the world around him. So thank you guys for your time.
Thank you. Very impressive. Thank you very much. I do have a question about the election or the kids being elected. How does that work, and what is the cap? Is there a cap?
So, okay. So it's elected sound like they say elected, but I try to say nominated. So there's a school-wide nomination in the beginning of the year, probably like the third week in September, only because I have to have enough time to count. I count all the ballots by myself. We get a list of kids. And then I have to give the parents time to be notified. There's a whole time frame. So it's like the third week in September. And what happens is me, the school psychologist, the school social worker, we go into the classrooms and we say, we give a little talk about natural helpers, and we say, I want you to think about, if you were in crisis tonight, who would be the friend you would talk to? Not who's the most popular person, not who told you to vote for them. Who would you go to? Like, who is that point person? And then I ask them to write down that person's name. So they get 2 student nominations. Each person gets 2 student nominations. I tell them if they don't want to participate, they don't have to. If they're going to put something down that's a joke, please don't write it down. It's a waste of my time. But just think about who you would go to if you were in crisis. So that's how the selection happens. It's like very quiet in the classroom. It's not, we try to make it so it's nice and organized, and the kids kind of get where I'm coming from. Then from there, it's I guess a tally mark, and then the top kind of vote getters, they wind up in the pool, and then we try to eliminate who's best friends, because the whole idea is to have one person in each friend group who's trained on these skills. So if it was a perfect world, I would take one person from each stereotypical friend group and give them all the listening, active, suicide prevention skills. So if someone in that friend group is in crisis, somebody knows what to do. Now, is it a perfect world? No. But the cap, I tried not to take any more than 50 kids. This year, I'm exactly at 50. For the weekend, it's a lot. If there's more than that, it loses the bonding and the team building. So I hope that answers your question. But the students nominate. We try to get the best selection from the school, so it's not all the jocks, it's not all, the stereotypes. We try to get a good selection from the school. The timing of the retreat was changed to not exclude the athletes. So in the beginning, we were coming home Monday at like 6 o'clock, and athletes were like, well, if I miss basketball practice, my coach isn't going to play me, but I really want to go to Natural Helper. So we changed it so that we leave Saturday, so anybody who has sports can play, school sports. I can't help the outside stuff. And then Monday, we're home by 2:45, so that if they have practice, although they'll be really tired, they can go. So I try not to be exclusionary. We run the meetings, the follow-up meetings, the educational meetings during the school day on a rotating basis, so that if I'm in theater or I'm in Vocal Express, or like Natural Helpers is way different than I feel like a lot of the other clubs. So I don't know. I just over-answered your question.
No, it's great. It's great information. Of the 50, what is it? Someone mentioned that they're going back as like a trainer. So of the 50, what's the breakdown per grade, and how many of the trainers do you have?
Okay, so this year I have 11 senior trainers. So I actually have 50 students coming. So that is 39 new students. And my senior trainers have been working like around the clock. We've been here. We were here last night until 8:45. They are trained on what to do. They help me run the whole weekend. I, talk about teachers can open the door for you, but you gotta step in. So they're stepping into major leadership roles this weekend. So if I could tell you the breakdown of the grade, I don't really know, but I have a representation from every single grade. When I invite students on the retreat, they don't all always come. So I invite 16 ninth graders, 14 10th graders, 8 juniors, and a couple of seniors, because most of the time by junior and senior year, people are begging to come to Natural Helpers. But ninth grade, I'll send out a whole bunch of letters, and there'll be people who will not show up. Parents don't want them to be part of it, or maybe they just didn't get the mail. So it is dispersed amongst the grades, and then we just get the pot. I have a parent orientation meeting. Whoever shows up, they get the paperwork, and then they're allowed to come.
So my daughter went on the trip, and I remember distinctly picking her up when you drop them off on the buses, and all these kids were hugging each other. And I'm like, what happened on this trip? And she's hugging people that I didn't know who they were. So they were all kinds of kids that she didn't know who they were beforehand. And it was a great experience. And she got into the car, and she was a different person. Absolutely.
Thank you.
So, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay.
Thank you very much. Now to follow that act, are you guys ready? Okay, January 2015, the voter approved referendum update.
Good evening. Thank you for having us. Tonight's presentation I'm going to speak about the completed bond projects, the in-progress bond projects, show you some photos of the active projects. Ken Schupner is going to step in and talk about the future projects, and then I'm going to close the presentation with a update on the financials. So the one district-wide program was the phone system replacement, which all the physical work has been completed. These are the completed bond projects at the high school. Consisted of the partial roof reconstruction, the synthetic turf and tennis courts, the corridor lockers, library flooring replacement, the field lights and tennis court lights, the window and door replacement, the PE locker and gym bleacher replacement, and the replacement of the auditorium chairs. The window and door project is in punch list and closeout phase. They're very close to completing that project. The completed bond projects at Miller Ave Elementary School consisted of the site reconstruction and playground relocation, additions and alterations. The asterisk is denoted below. There are a few punch list items which are very minimal at this time, and one contractor is finalizing their closeouts, which we expect to have this week. The completed bond projects for Wading River Elementary School are the site reconstruction and the additions and alterations. That's a very similar status to Miller Ave. Most of the work is done with maybe just one or two items remaining, and one contractor required to provide their closeout documents. These are the completed projects at Prodell Middle School: the partial roof replacement, the running track reconstruction, the window and door replacement, gym bleacher replacement, gymnasium and band room floor resurfacing. The in-progress bond project is the interior renovations of the existing building. They're 100% complete, with the exception of some punch list items. They're currently working on the cafeteria and kitchen additions, which is about 75% complete. It's anticipated to be turned over to the district in late December and operational in late January. Here's some photos of the middle school library. Here's some aerial shots of the front and rear of the building parking lots. Interior shot of the main office. And here's some of the new construction of the cafeteria and kitchen. Exterior, since these photos, the windows have been installed. It's the interior of the cafeteria. The ceiling grid has been put in. I think this next photo shows it. So some spackle. The ceiling tiles are going in as we speak. The heat is being turned on tomorrow. This is the walk-in freezer cooler. Some of the other kitchen equipment has been installed since. The kitchen hood, a couple other items. Here's some shots of the roof installation with the rooftop units and the gas piping associated. And this is where Ken's going to pick up the future projects.
Good evening. There are two projects currently pending construction. One is the Maintenance and Fitness Center. That project has received its SED approval. The work scope includes ADA toilets, window replacement, improvements to the HVAC ventilation system, and upgrade of the fire alarm system. That bid date is still to be determined. The high school interior alterations and site work project. This project has been submitted to SED. The district utilized the third-party review process. We have received comments. We have responded to those comments. So we await the final approval. So we anticipate that sometime in December, going out to bid in January. There are a few other outstanding bond projects that have not yet been designed. That includes the middle school tennis courts, middle school technology room dust collection system, high school far field toilet room storage building, and high school Mac lab. So the costs for those have all been put aside in consideration of those projects after the next round of bidding. Okay.
All right, so this first sheet is the bond as a whole, the financials associated with it. A column in gray indicates the money originally allocated for the project. B is either the money spent for the project or the money projected to be spent for the project. And then C is the variance based on the projects that have been completed or are currently active. The middle school is denoted at the bottom. It's still a project that's in progress, so the change order component to it is a moving target. Spent a lot of time with the business office over the past several weeks fine-tuning these numbers, so we have a good comfort level with where the numbers stand to date. If you look down at the bottom right-hand corner, that's the total variance based on the total project as it sits today. The second slide represents a breakdown of the remaining projects and kind of gives you a little more information rather than just the number allocated. It gives you the construction budget, the contingencies associated with it, design and construction, escalation, the soft cost, A&E fees, and then totals it all up to the right. And the bottom number indicates the total contingencies and escalation available for the remaining projects. Any questions?
So can you speak toward the variance? Is there a plan for that, Glenn?
Want to go back a slide?
When you say to speak to the variance is a value due to projects coming in above the original bond budget. So what is the plan on completing the remaining work while managing the shortfall in dollars? Just to clarify the question,
exactly,
correct?
Right. Yep.
Okay. So the way that we have approached the bond project in its entirety has been come right out of the gate. The voters approved the project. What could we give to the voters to show quick output? So the quickest project requiring a single review from the State Education Department allowed us to come in quickly to do the high school tennis courts, which were at that time closed down, condemned, as well as the synthetic field. So we were able to do that quickly with the thought in mind of what is the next project that needed the most attention in order to allocate the bond dollars first. So at that time, we accelerated everything by an entire year and brought the Miller Avenue and Wading River buildings as the Phase 2 project, the substantive Phase 2 project, not just the corridor lockers inside of the high school. So we are down to, priority-wise, we've done the elementary schools, we've done the addition and the interior renovations at the middle school. So now we're down to the high school. The major components are the interior office reconfiguration, the parking lot reconfiguration, the 4 or 5 projects that have not been designed yet, as well as the fitness center. So we are going out to bid because, again, priority order puts us into the high school. So we will hopefully go out to bid late December, early January, come up with those results, and then at that time, when we see what is the market price for the scope of work that is listed inside of this particular project, we will see, is the $5,000, $77,000 available enough to do that project? So we first have to see, what if that project comes in at $5.5 million? That's what that bid value is. We have to begin to look right at that moment before we award the high school. What is there a reduced scope version? So when we go out to bid for the high school project, we are adding alternates more than we have in the past in order to allow us the flexibility to isolate certain parts of that project. Maybe just do the nurse's room ADA compliant change and not do the main office because there weren't enough bond funds available. So there isn't a definitive plan of how do I plan on making up the shortfall right now. The plan is position us so that at the time of awarding the high school project, know that there are 4 open projects that aren't designed. There is a fitness center that is designed, approved. We might want to take those 4 projects that are not designed, take the fitness center that is designed, but maybe put all those funds available to the high school project because we feel the academic return, the instructional return on those projects is in the best interest of the district. The Board of Education has the ability to allocate those bond dollars in that fashion. But we are down to the last round. We are using values. Remember, the voters approved this in January 2015, so the budget dollars came from 2013, 2014, with projected costs attached to it 5 years out. So we aren't doing that bad from other neighboring projects. Not that I would like to compare, but I do want to say how much we've accomplished to date and the overruns, and I call them overruns on bond budget projects, is due to the unforeseen circumstances that we encountered along the way. It isn't for unanticipated scope creep. Did I change an extra ceiling? Sure. But that isn't the $1.1 million. It is the foundations that I found, it's the debris fields that I found, it's the soil issues that I found, it's the upgrades to install a turf field that had a better GMAX rating by installing a shock pad, installing a thicker blade turf, installing a turf that has a thicker nap, all to increase the GMAX value so that, yes, the turf and tennis court project, when we renovated the tennis court area, we didn't know at the time when we developed the bond budget for that project that we would need to install a retaining wall on the western portion. So there is an explanation how we got to the $1.1 million. The plan right now is to go out to bid for the high school, break the project down with as many alternates that will give us the most flexibility to award a project. Not that we miss a construction summer, so that I don't have to face another escalation in 2020, do something substantive that is, of course, within the bond scope, but at that same time provide the Board of Education enough information as to what are the outstanding projects that aren't designed yet, what are the projects that we have designed that we could go out to bid for. The only one that fits in that category is the fitness center. And the main project that I'm going out to bid for next is going to be the high school, because it has the most instructional impact. The changes to the parking lot, the changes to the cafeteria, the changes to the nurse's office, the changes to the rooftop ventilation systems, the changes to the auditorium, all of those items are going to improve the instructional spaces within the high school, and also improvements to the main office will, just like we did at the middle school, increase the brand, increase the efficiency, increase the collectivity by making little pods for the different departments as opposed to segregated offices the way that we are now.
Okay. Could you just refresh my memory? Is there financing costs in these estimates, or is this just?
There is no bond payments in this.
Right.
This is purely a bond project cost. Your bond payments live inside of your general fund budget.
Okay. So I guess an important thing to point out is some of these projects were expedited, and that allowed us to actually secure better financing rates early on in the project.
Correct. And that was one of the main pushes to push us towards accelerating the project in order to get 1 year earlier reduction in escalation, which we are clearly seeing.
Mm-hmm.
Prices are going up greater than
Yeah, I
the
think that's
value of the
that's
escalation
important
that we put in.
for
One
people
piece
to
I want to
recognize.
point out that Derek wanted to include, but I said it's a very complicated piece, but since you went there, I'm going to include it. The $1.1 million that is listed here, when you look at the amount of contingency plus escalation, is $681,000. So if we don't use our contingencies and the prices that we receive for the high school come in at a budget value that is favorable, that 1.1 could go down to only a little bit under 500,000.
Sure. Yeah.
So we're going to see in 2 months' time, but I felt it important working with both Derek and Ken to show where we are. It's important to point out there was a plan to not design middle school tennis courts, middle school technology room, dust collection system, high school far field toilet room and storage building, and the high school Mac lab, because there is no reason to put design dollars to those projects if I'm going to be short funding.
Mm-hmm.
And those are small enough projects that I could do independently. I wasn't benefiting from economies of scale by including any of those projects in any of our current projects.
What is a Mac lab?
Mac Lab would be a computer lab to do really fancy computer work that Mr. Poole speaks much better to than I do.
Really fancy computer work, okay, got it.
Any other questions before I sit down? I hand it over to these.
I just have a question. I know we were talking about the shortcomings of some of the projects, the 1.7 at Wading River, but can you discuss why we came in under for $1.5 million at Miller Avenue? You know, what were some of the experiences with that? How did we come in so under budget?
I'm going to give you the version that I gave the same time when I awarded those two projects. When we allocated bond dollars to those projects, it was on a per square foot basis, and correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, so when we did a per square foot, it was just a blind number put on the value of what we were doing for the square feet. The way that the projects came in, even though we bid them as an entire project, we then separated that bid value out across those two projects. It's much better to look at those two projects since we bid them and awarded them to one GC. It's much better to look at that as one project, add the 1.5 positive and add it against the 1.7 shortfall, and see that project net is only about $230,000 over budget, because my GC value is one bundle number.
Right. No, you mentioned the square foot cost. You're talking about the building additions, but there was more work involved in
There
that.
was also square foot costs used for renovations. When they put the bond budget
I remember
together.
seeing like this menu of every single item had a cost to it, and they just tallied it at the end. You're saying that's not what they used to create these budgets?
No, that is what was used.
Okay.
But the green column is the bid value. We just took the GC's budget and apportioned it across the two projects, because the GC did not give us a Miller Avenue cost.
I gotcha. Okay.
And a Wading River cost.
You didn't get separate costs for both buildings?
It was awarded as a total.
Oh,
I did get separate costs as individual bids, but that value is greater than the awarded cost.
I see what you're saying.
So it's much better to look at that project as one project versus trying to pin down what happened in one building versus a different building, because I didn't award it that way.
Right.
Some prime contractors picked up two buildings as part of their bid.
I gotcha. The second question is, obviously, we're talking about maybe making some decisions among the trustees about maybe prioritizing what we have left and what projects, are more important to move forward in the high school. When does that need to come across this table to
One
you
of the
guys?
things that I included inside of your packet as part of the high school walkthrough backup is the bond scope for all of the high school work. Included in that documentation also were the list of alternates. We have to start to think of what those priorities are. We will, as much as Ken said he's going out to bid in December, as soon as we get the SCD, I'm desperate to award this project and get this off of our plate as to where are we going. We're going to have a decision by the second board meeting in January, because that's the meeting that we're looking to award this. If all goes according to plan and
Right,
SCD
just-
cooperates.
So the 18th is the next board meeting, right?
Yes,
So
sir.
you're going out to bid early December, hopefully?
When SCD approval comes.
All right, so I'm just throwing out dates. So it's early December. How many weeks is this bid? 4 weeks, 3 weeks? It's the holiday season, so I know how contractors are. It's tough to get people to commit the numbers around the holidays. And then, so we get the numbers back, you guys do your internal, then you have to vet the contractors. So you're hoping to get this approved by this board the end of January.
Second board meeting in January would be the ideal. The latest is the first board meeting in February.
And
That
in
is
between that, we have to have a discussion, I guess, once you get the numbers on what projects we may or may not have to prioritize.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's going to.
I just don't want this to be rushed.
the
I don't want us
first
to make
time-
decisions that were, that are rushed
Well,
last minute.
The only thing we could do in advance of dollars is if we wanted to first begin to prioritize the projects not yet designed. Is it acceptable to say the budget dollars that are earmarked for those projects, we would first prioritize and put them towards the high school project? Those are the first ones, because those aren't design projects. From an administrative team, we have looked at those projects. I'm going to bring up the middle school tennis courts. To put 2 tennis courts in place of the 3 that were there, it doesn't help the athletic program per the athletic director. It doesn't help the phys ed program. So that they weren't included. Also, they weren't included at that time, because when we designed this project, we were still hoping to gain access to Villa Street. So there was a reason why
Yeah,
it wasn't.
I think this board should get that recommendation from administration first before we, I don't know what the needs are of the district. I mean, I can guess what they are, but
okay,
someone in your administration should say,
We will,
we don't need this, we want that, and then come to us for our input.
As noted, we will definitely provide the Board of Education with the rationale for the pros and cons of all the projects that are remaining, and what the priority would be based on a student instructional program.
I've seen it over the years. I just don't want documents to be handed out at a meeting asking for approval. I just don't want to go down that road, so we just.
Given the
Point taken.
timeline that you mentioned, though, Mike,
Yeah.
it would seem to me that you refer to them, I think, as deduct alternates, right? I don't know if you have add
No,
alternates? or-
positive alternates. We have listed the main office renovation inside of the high school as an alternate.
Okay.
As an add alternate. sorry.
I'm
As
thinking,
an add.
I'm thinking more along the lines of, let's say, the bus loop or the parking lot. I don't know if there's any deducts that you guys are looking to pull out of that.
We did it opposite.
Okay.
The base bid is, if you remember, the parking lot plan had 3 different colors.
Yep.
The first color, the second color, The first color is in the base bid, which doesn't give us all the way north. The add alternate gives us all the way north.
The additional parking and all that in the backside,
So we're
right?
able to add to it if the dollars allow us to add
Okay,
to
so
it.
you're looking at those as add alternates for
Yes, sir.
those areas? I got you. Okay. So then that's the stuff that Mike is referring to in terms of, we should have that information to kind of make a better judgment.
Yeah, we're going to need to see the numbers. I mean, we can get the priorities from the administration, but at the end of the day, the numbers are going to tell the tale on what projects we can move forward with, so.
Okay.
All right, Thank you. Any other questions? Thanks. The grass looks great
I
at
did-
Wading River,
I
right,
did-
Lou?
I did
How's that
too,
grass look?
I did have a question for Ken. With reference to the completed work that's done, can you talk a little bit about how as-built are modified? Are the contractors updating any drawings that need to be done, and then you guys are retaining them, or do they get turned over to the district? How does that work?
Yeah, each of the contractors, as part of their closeout document process, we provide them with PDF files where they edit those documents for any field conditions or requested revisions that have come up. So all of those documents are made part of their final closeout package. Their warranty documents, it's all put into a binder, also put in a CD. BBS keeps a copy. I don't know if you keep a copy. And then a copy is turned over to the district for their files.
So in reference to, let's say, the cafeteria at Prodell, where it's new construction like that, are they marking up your original documents and then that's what's being, or are those documents actually being modified to reflect true field conditions?
The contractor marks it up to reflect the true field condition.
But he won't modify them, right? He's just like redlining them and then leaving them like that? Okay.
Correct.
Okay. And those remain with you or with the district?
We ask for 4 copies.
Okay.
BBS keeps a copy, Park East keeps a copy, maybe we get 3, and the district gets 1 or 2 copies.
Okay, good.
And at what point are we going to start to receive state aid on those projects? Are we in for some of the early ones? The elementary schools or not yet?
Not the elementary schools, we are beginning to receive aid on the high school lockers and field and tennis court lighting and the turf.
So the closeout documents, that's what's holding it up?
For 2 years ago, that's what we are receiving aid on already.
Okay.
We anticipated aid for 18-19 state aid, assuming that the elementary projects would be closed out and that the windows project would be closed out also. So until those projects are closed out, the last check is received, and all the state aid documentation is submitted to the state, only then will we be able to receive the state aid on that.
And I was joking about the field at Wading River, but looks great. Are we looking to open it up for the students in the spring, the full field? That's the plan?
I think you'll be getting additional
Lou? Lou wants to speak.
inside of this week's update.
Looks like Mr. Perinello has his hand up.
You have to come to the podium.
No, I just had a question. If you want to open it up, how's the drainage and everything else? If that's something that we want to do, we should plan for it. So I know that we're doing soil samples and those sort of things. I don't know if we get the results for the soil samples on the fields. So is that something that's been looked at as well? So.
Yeah, some additional information was provided today regarding some soil sampling. It's being reviewed. Additional information will be provided to the district later this week, but the grass is growing well.
Okay.
Ken, just with the amount of site work that we did in some of the other schools, is there any lessons learned in anticipation of the site work that we're doing at the high school for the bus loop? Is there anything that you guys maybe
I
have
wish
updated
I wish
in
we
your
had
specs?
X-ray vision.
Okay.
It's unfortunately, it's just been the buried debris, the buried stuff. I would think there should be less of that as a concern in regard to the high school, since that's really surface scope of work. We're not necessarily excavating as we did for some of the other projects for the extensive work that was done there. So I'm going to remain optimistic that there's less issues here at the high school.
Okay.
I do just want to add, though, during the construction meeting Wednesday, both Derek and Ken made it clear to the middle school contractor the importance of getting the soil right around the cafeteria construction site to ensure proper drainage. They made that a point. So I do think not that it is a lesson learned, but it will be a lesson that's going to be enforced greater just because we don't want to relive what we're
Yeah.
currently living.
Okay, great.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
All right, we'll start with votes and resolutions. The approval of minutes, October 23rd, 2018. Can I get a motion? Henry, second. Erin, any discussion or questions? Okay to vote? Rob, you were absent, so all in favor? 6-0. Abstain? 1. November 6, 2018 minutes. Motion? Henry, second. Aaron? Discussion or questions? Okay, and Kim and Jim, you guys were absent at that meeting, so abstain. Approval? Vote? 5 opposed? Abstain? 2. 5-0-2. Okay, approval of CPSE, CSE, and 504 meeting summary, memo dated November 16th, 2018. You get a motion? Katie, second. Kim, any discussion or questions? Okay to vote? All in favor? 7-0. Approved. Approval of Treasurer's Report, September 2018. Can I get a motion? Jim, second. Aaron, discussion or questions? All in favor to vote? 7-0. Approved. Okay. Adoption of resolutions. Board of Education resolutions number 1819-129. Can I get a motion? Katie, second. Kim, any questions, discussion? Okay to vote? Okay, all in favor? 7-0, approved. Curriculum instruction and assessment resolutions. We okay to take them as a block? Yes, okay. 1819-130 through 1819-139. Can I get a motion? Katie, second. Jim, any discussion or questions? Okay to vote? All in favor? 7-0, approved. Human Resources resolutions, 1819-140. Can I get a motion? Kim, second. Katie, any discussion or questions? Okay to vote? Oh, approved. All in favor? Sorry. 7-0-0, approved. Business and operation resolutions. Are we okay to take them as a block? Yes? Okay. 1819-141 through 1819-147. Motion. Katie, second. Jim, any discussion or questions? Okay to vote? All in favor? 7-0-0. Approved. Just wanted to thank a few organizations for donations. New York State, Miller Avenue PTO, Middle School No Name Players, and the North Shore Library. Okay. Sure, Jerry.
Just make a quick comment on the $13,000 in bullet aid that was accepted as a donation today. That $13,000 was a special grant provided by Assemblyman Palumbo, given to the school district last year, and we are expected in the next couple of weeks to receive an additional $15,000 from Senator Laval's special bullet aid. So many thanks to Assemblyman Palumbo for looking out for our district.
Thank you. Okay, personnel. Okay, can I get a motion? Jim, second. Kim, discussion or questions? Okay to vote? All in favor? 7-0-0 approved. Communications. Janice?
Along
Board breakfast, February 2nd, 2019. We've already reserved 2 tables, so we have approximately 20 participants can participate.
Okay. When do you need to know by?
Probably the beginning of December.
Okay. You could put me down. I don't know, I think a couple of board members.
Anybody else a definite
applied
yes?
already? Anyone else?
I think I
Erin, Kim?
Yeah, I think I RSVP'd, yes.
Okay.
How many students do we have so far?
Well, three were recommended, but we haven't heard back if they're available or not.
Okay, thank you.
Any discussion items? No? Okay. Additional comments from residents? Any? No? Okay. Okay, we'll adjourn a public session and adjourn to exec for the reason of collective negotiations pursuant to Article 14 of the Civil Service Law. Can I get a motion? Henry, second. Katie? Get a vote? All in favor? 7-0. Have a good evening, everyone. Thanks for showing up.